Hi, Melissa. Thanks for joining us. What would you say? There's a lot of people that are like, well, I can get the information free online and I can just call Fed Loans myself. What was your experience trying to figure it all out with just trying to coordinate with Fed Loans?
Like I said, I think I took like a whole afternoon at work one day, or I took off work to do it. I don't remember. But I had called because I had worked in my first job for a year. And initially, when I called, they only had counted 4 or 5 payments after I had made 8 payments. And working with the representatives, like, one, it's a business. Like, they're trying to get your money. They're trying to, make sure that you're going to pay on these loans as long as possible. My whole experience with them was really frustrating because, they tell you to do things to, like, help make your rate better, right? So, like, I do direct debit because it's supposed to give a discount. Well, early on in my process, I think it was like March or April of that year, my direct debit hit late. And so the day after my due date, I had submitted a payment because it wasn't showing up. It wasn't direct debiting out. They didn't tell me it could take 24 to 48 hours after my date of payment to hit and show that I was on time. And so I made a payment. And then what that did was it apparently put me in paid ahead status. So from that moment on, they did not count every payment. They counted every other payment. So I asked them, I said, you need to go back and recount. Clearly I don't, like, please remove, like, can I remove paid ahead status? And they said, yes, you have to request it. Okay, well, I'm requesting it. Like, please remove it. I want to make sure all these payments count. And so trying to get that figured out. Then they told me that could take up to a year. I said, I've submitted all my forms. I'm not sure why something's not showing up. Can you recount? It's going to take a year. And I had that in the back of my head this whole time when I was on the webinar, when I was dealing with you guys one-on-one, was like, I never got a response on that. They had just assumed that I was going to forget about it and not call back. And I thought I was being, like, persistent and waiting the year, but at that point it had been over a year and a half. And we figured out that, okay, they had removed the paid ahead status. They had counted those payments, but they had not counted any additional payments. So, it was nice to have you guys come in on the back end and say, like, hey, here's what we're going to submit. You guys gave me, like, short-term things to do, long-term things to do, and then, like, next year, when this renews, what can we do to, like, get your payment down? What can we do to make sure this doesn't happen again? And I will say, too, my personal experience, every time I've had to submit paperwork to them, they give you an online portal and they tell you, just upload it. It's quicker. It's easier. Every single time my paperwork got kicked back for some type of issue, I would triple, quadruple check these papers, and I have no idea what the difference was. I would print them out and mail them in, and then they would say, okay, now these work. So it was really, really like a frustrating process to get things submitted. And then you guys submitted on my behalf, and it was like within a month. I mean, I've never had that fast of a response.
When you heard about the Loan Sense informational session or webinar, what made you decide to join?
Sure. Yeah. So one of my really close friends from law school recommended Loan Sense and said that it really, really helped her and that she would recommend it to, all of the people we went to law school with. And I said, well, it has her stamp of approval. Like, I want to check this out. I think I'm okay on my loans, but, it's always good to check now rather than, when you're applying for public service loan forgiveness, you see all the stories of people who are trying to apply and then they get to the end and they don't get their loans forgiven. And it was like 99% of, like, initial people asking got their loan, it got rejected. So I was like, sure, let me try it. And it had a lot of really good information, especially when it came to, trying to go through and I never realized that my loan data was just there and I could download it and kind of go through it myself. But I realized that there might have been some things I was missing. I had mentioned to my friend that I was having trouble getting my payments counted. especially after a year of waiting from Fed Loan to give me a decision. So I would say the webinar was really helpful. It convinced me to actually purchase the service and go through the one-on-one counseling.
Yeah, and what was your experience in the one-on-one counseling as compared to like the informational webinar?
Sure. Yeah. So comparatively, it's more personalized, right? So I overall had a really positive experience with you and the entire loan assistance team. You guys made it really easy to understand. And even talking through our one-on-one, there were things that, kind of clicked and stood out to me that, oh, I thought I did this, but I actually didn't submit this paperwork. Or why am I waiting a year? They have to give you correspondence. And we were going back and forth on, well, did you call? I called. Did you get a case number? Yes, I got a case number. When did you call? And I called in 2018, and we were talking in 2020. So, that kind of pinged a red flag that something was wrong and that they should have gotten back to me, because I had almost over 2 years of payments, but only 8 of them had counted. So, trying to figure out, okay, where's the discrepancy? What do we need to file? And then you guys handling the paperwork is just such like a huge relief, because anytime I would submit something, it would always kick back. I'd have to mail something in. So having you guys submit the paperwork and submit it correctly on my behalf was also really, really helpful. And then overall, my results are absolutely phenomenal. So initially I had 8 qualifying payments, and what we had figured out was, I was submitting every year for my income-driven repayment plan to make sure that my payments weren't jumping. But I had missed one of my employment certification letters, which you guys were really helpful with my employer to get done. And so within about a month, FedLoan had updated my qualifying payments from 8 to 26 or 27, depending on the loan. And so working that math out, it was $6,600 worth of payments that I now know have been counted, which is amazing. I mean, saving the 2 years, now versus it's 5, 6, 7 years down the line. And I just figured out, oh, I'm still at 8 payments. You guys helped me realize that, you need to get on this stuff a lot quicker, and getting it rectified quicker can make it easier towards the end. And you guys also helped me change my payment plan. I had a really significant increase in my payment plan after my first year, and I was kind of confused as to why, because my salary didn't go up that much. But now getting into the right payment plan, we can make sure my payments don't jump any higher. So I had a really great experience with you guys.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I wanted you to share your story because obviously we want to save other people from the pain of waiting years and years and then finding out they have to fight Fed loans, right, to get all their payments. So counted, right? And so if you had any like parting advice or words of hope to especially graduates and those entering the public service field.
I would say, one, I recommend that they use Loan Sense. Especially if you're trying to qualify for public service loan forgiveness, it is a literal godsend, because, I went to law school, we handled really tough subjects, and, I thought I was, well qualified to advocate on my behalf, and I thought I had a great handle on my loans, and realizing, kind of quickly, like, oh, I guess I don't have it all figured out. It's really nice to have someone in your corner that's willing to, they understand the system, they'll advocate for you. My second biggest piece of advice is do not wait. Especially, like I said, being a lawyer, I have had friends who have graduated before me that are still trying to figure out why payments aren't counting, or, they want to consolidate their loans and then they're going to get kicked out of forgiveness and have the 10-year clock reset. Don't wait, get on this now, because it might be really, really stressful now, but it's going to be even more stressful when you think you have 120 qualifying payments and you realize that you had stopped paying, 4 years prior, and you have 4 more years to go. So don't wait, and just, get it done and trust the team to, get you across the finish line.
What was your experience with us, liaising with your employer?
It was a great experience with my employer and Loan Sense. They have, we provide pro bono legal services, and so we're mostly made up of attorneys, lawyers, etc. And other people are, we are a 501c3, so we have a lot of people that are qualifying or trying to qualify for loan forgiveness. So, this is a common process that they deal with people asking. When I explained who you guys were, our employer was like, oh, that's really interesting. I've never heard a company doing that for you. It's usually just the attorneys coming to me directly saying, hey, can you sign this? And especially now that we're all remote, it made the process really seamless, and it was really, really fast. I think it was within that same day they had already signed things and gotten back to you. I just had to give my approval